The story of Eugenia Martínez, the giant girl who became a symbol of the cruel amusements of the royal court. In the history of European royal courts, there are enough pages that today seem monstrous. One of them is the fate of Eugenia Martínez. A girl with extraordinary physical data became a toy in the hands of the Spanish court. For King Charles II and the nobility, she was a living monster, a fun, which demonstrated at every opportunity. But behind the external features of Eugenia was a living soul and a tragic fate. Eugenia Martínez was born in 1674 in northern Spain, in a small town near Miranda de Chimonceva. Her parents, José Martinez and Antonia, were well-to-do people. The day of her birth was accompanied by an unusual event. Her mother's water broke right during Sunday service in church. The locals took it as a good sign. The girl was named Eugenia, translated from Latin as well-born. In infancy, she grew strong and healthy, pleased her parents with a good appetite. No one saw anything wrong with her fullness. In those days, thinness was considered the ideal for girls. But for a baby, a strong physique was seen as a sign of health. But it soon became clear Eugenia was growing too fast. By her first birthday, she weighed close to 20 pounds. She looked the size of a teenager. Concerned parents turned to doctors, but 17th century medicine was powerless. Diets and other attempts to slow her growth had no effect. Year after year, Eugenia grew heavier and heavier. By the age of 6, she weighed 65 kilograms, and this in an era when such figures seemed almost supernatural. Neighbors began to spread rumors. The nickname Giant Girl spread through the city. To protect their daughter from humiliation, the parents began to hide Eugenia at home. She hardly ever went outside. Curious gawkers came to their house, hoping to catch a glimpse of the monster. Eugenia lived in isolation, almost no contact with outsiders. It became a real prison for the little girl. Charles II ruled in Spain at this time. He was born a gravely ill child, the result of numerous marriages between close relatives in the Habsburg dynasty. Charles suffered from congenital malformations, was mentally retarded, almost never learned, and hardly spoke. His appearance frightened contemporaries. A huge jaw, deformed body, pale skin. Already in childhood, Charles showed an unhealthy interest in everything unusual. The court of King Charles II was filled with superstitions, fears, gloomy rituals. Many modern historians believe that the king suffered from a severe form of depression. He avoided political decisions, lived in a world of personal whims and fads. In this world, a special place was occupied by one of the ugliest traditions of European monarchies, a collection of palace freaks. Since the late Middle Ages, it has been fashionable in many European courts to keep people with unusual physical or mental features with them. Dwarfs, hunchbacks, jesters, people with physical disabilities. They all became live entertainment for the nobility. In Spain, such people were called pipashir, people for fun. They were gathered at court, put on display, forced to participate in balls, dinners, celebrations. The courtiers felt themselves above such people. Especially King Charles, who himself was weak and sickly, amused his ego by surrounding himself with freaks to make himself look more normal. Sometimes kings paid for the maintenance of their collections, but more often such people lived at the mercy of the court. The slightest mistake, and they could be banished to the streets without a livelihood. Rumors of a giant girl in northern Spain quickly reached the royal court. Charles II was eager to see Eugenia. He ordered her to be invited to court. In 1680, when Eugenia was only 6 years old, a royal envoy arrived at the Martinez home. It was impossible to refuse. Hoping for help and protection for their daughter, the parents agreed. Eugenia arrived in Madrid. At the first meeting, the king was delighted. At last, he had a new curiosity. She was quickly included in the people-sure group. Jesters, dwarfs, and freaks performed for the king at feasts and balls. Eugenia, as the most unusual among them, was especially often exhibited. The nobility photographed her to emphasize their own slimness and grace. Women posed next to the giant girl as a fashionable attraction. Eugenia didn't officially receive a salary. She lived at the mercy of the court. Any misstep could lead to banishment. Courtiers could mock her to her face. However, in private letters, many commented that Eugenie was a kind, witty, and clever girl. King Charles ordered 2 of her portraits from the famous artist Juan Carreño Miranda. The paintings were called The Clothed Monster and The Naked Monster. In the portraits, Eugenia looks sad, tired. Her posture betrayed suffering. The weight and size of the body made the long immobility excruciating. Nevertheless, the paintings became a real sensation. They are still preserved in the Prado Museum in Madrid. Today, medical professionals believe that Eugenia had Prader-Willi syndrome. This is a rare genetic disorder that causes uncontrollable appetite, obesity, diabetes, developmental problems, and puberty. In the 17th century, no one could explain the girl's condition. She was perceived as a miracle of nature. In reality, she was an ordinary child, a victim of a severe disease. Despite her humiliation, Eugenia remained cheerful. Courtiers remembered her as kind and friendly. But as she grew older, her health deteriorated. Problems with her breathing, heart, and joints worsened. At the age of 24, Eugenia died. The exact cause of death remained unknown, but doctors are inclined to believe that the body could not withstand the effects of the disease. For the courtiers, it was almost imperceptible loss. Another toy disappeared. But in the memory of some remained a kind girl who did not choose her fate. Centuries later, in 1997, the city of Avila erected a monument to Eugenia Martínez. The sculpture is based on the painting The Dressed Monster. Its author is Amanda Gonzalez. Despite acts of vandalism, today the monument stands on a street named after the Miranda artist. Eugenia Martínez has remained in history as a symbol of one of the darkest pages of European courts. Her story reminds us, respect and dignity are important for anyone, regardless of appearance. And it is important to remember that behind any curiosity, there is always someone's real human life